the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, and there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers. And through the smoke we come.
What a crash!
Welcome to Retro Motorsport. This week we have wall-to-wall action on and off the water. First up, let's go drag racing. The quarter mile madness is from Meremere. It's 2005 and the Northern Nats.
Hi folks, and welcome along to our coverage of round number 2 of the NZDRA televised points series for drag racing. We're here at Champion Dragway for the AC Delco Nationals, and already we've seen some amazing qualification performances. Eliminations are starting pretty shortly, so it's all on here at Meremere. So this is action from the qualifying rounds in Top Door Slammer, and it's the two veterans going at it together. David Green in lane number 1, and in lane 2 it is Chris Tynan. Green coming off the win from Christchurch. Well, let's talk about the weather and the conditions here. We mentioned the tune-up. It looked earlier on that it was going to be starting to cloud over, but now that cloud's gone again. So that's bad news for you guys, isn't it?
It is, because the cloud actually helps bring that ambient temperature down a little bit, which helps the air improve. And of course we don't like the sun baking on the track all day, because it gets that hot, it actually gets greasy, and that means you've got to back off the clutch a little bit more to help the car get down the track.
So the burnout complete as Chris Tynan backs up. Time to introduce the voice of New Zealand drag racing, Kevin Manuel Stevens, and this could be quite a lineup.
It's a very important race, this, as you say. David Green coming off the win from Christchurch, Ruapuna at the Powerbuilt Nationals. But Chris Tynan has been chasing the tune-up. He needs a good run. He's at the bottom of the qualifying ladder. This is an important run for Chris. It's going well.
Well, it's going well for Tynan, but it's going equally unwell for David Green. You'll see him just coast through the line. Here it is on the replay. Look at this. He just blows the tyres off it and gets off the gas. I guess Manuel, because he's already run a 200 mile an hour and a 7:02 in the earlier qualifying.
Well, that's clutch set up. He's just trying to get the most out of the track.
Tom Richardson now in the 57 Chevy up against the fastest Holden in New Zealand. This is Mark Thomas from Wellington. How much difference in the tune-up between here and Ruapuna?
We can throw a bit more clutch at it, so we can make use of more of the horsepower, but I mean that's the same for everybody. So we tend to find that Ruapuna and Masterton, not that they're, I suppose you'd call them marginal tracks for us, they're still good surfaces and everything, but they give us an advantage because it takes away that horsepower advantage that the Dave Greens and the Chris Tynans have got over us.
Well, this should be another good matchup. Mark Thomas coming back from a great win in our first round coverage in Christchurch. Tom Richardson, always super consistent. They leave together. Oh, and there's some problems for Thomas. He's crossed the centre line, and more importantly, he's tagged Richardson. Oh, well, that could have been so much different, Manuel. That's got to be good driving from Mark Thomas.
And you can just see it here, about 100 feet out. The right-hand slick lets go, comes unglued, and the left-hand slick just drives him across the centre line. Here's a good look at it. He's sideways there. He would be deaccelerating, trying to steer it out, but not a lot of steering. They're designed to accelerate forward, and he can't do much more than that.
How fast do you reckon you were going when the car's touched?
Oh, probably about 100, 120 maybe. Yeah. But you got over the groove a little bit, so just a little bit aggressive. It went to the right, brought it back, and then it went, and it was gone. And these cars, they swap ends pretty quick, so... Tom did us a favour really. I think if he wasn't there, it probably would have hit the guardrail and gone over on its roof. And past experience, we've seen other cars and other accidents and that, so yeah, there's an element of luck in it, that's for sure.
Well, with all the help from all the wild bunches and all the drag races here at Meremere, Tom Richardson is back on the racetrack again, and that's good news. And he comes up against last year's defending champion in Craig Brown.
We've left the tune-up as we had at the end of last meeting, and we'll start from there, and we'll just go from there. So it should run in the mid-sevens straight off again, so...
Brownie's got it all to do here, Manuel, because he is the defending champion. He didn't go to round 1 in Christchurch, so if he can pick up some points here, he might just get his title chase back on track.
Well, he is certainly doing the chasing.
So Craig Brown gets away best of all. Some problems for Tom Richardson, some problems too for Craig Brown. Lost the blower belt by the look of it just before the lights. That's going to slow him down, but it's still a win. Here it is on the replay. Watch the car closest to the camera.
Off the throttles already at half track, so he'll roll through the finish line at just 129 miles an hour. No blower drive.
Trevor Tynan makes a welcome return to champion drag race in Pigzilla. Haven't seen the car for the best part of 2 years, but they've thrashed long and hard to get it here. But he's got a bit of a tiger on his tail here in the form of Dave Green. If they've got the setup right, this should be one heck of a race.
And our problem is we haven't actually done anything in the car. We haven't even set the timing yet. So that's why I'm so nervous. You know, I've got no data. Everything's brand new. We haven't got a clue. But we'll get it sorted.
So the first qualifying should be pretty interesting.
It will.
It's always a big ask, isn't it, with a completely fresh car after a couple of seasons, as you say, new engine combination, new paint scheme. But he is up against the current points leader too. Big ask in round one.
Well, they leave pretty much identically, and once again we see the Dave Green car overpowering the racetrack. He gets off the throttle. Trevor Tynan rolls through 770. That's the best performance we've seen from him. Have a look at it on the replay.
It's almost as if he never got out of the driver's seat, is it? 7.7 at your opening meeting of the season.
This is Mark Bardsley from Pukekohe in the screaming small block up against Mark Thomas. Thomas, of course, coming second in the round in Christchurch. Mark Bardsley finished second in the points chase last year. As I said, didn't make it to Christchurch, had some employment issues. This man had all sorts of problems, but came away with second top point scorer in the door slammers to David Green. So it is the Sedgitons Camaro up against the fastest Holden in New Zealand, and what a great lead for Mark Bardsley. There is a slight difference because of the class index.
You can see that Mark Bardsley is a wild bunch car. He has 6/10 of a second head start over the top door slammer of Mark Thomas. But he's still got a very, very good light, and Mark Thomas was never going to catch Mark Bardsley from there.
Into the eliminations now, and this is round number one. Chris Tynan up against Bobby Owens in the XP Falcon Coupe and a 55 Chevy.
Well, Bob Owens has had his share of problems through the season, had some oil pressure problems in the earlier meetings, but he's here and he's on the track and gets the far better start.
Now can Tynan run him down? It's going to be oh so close as they work their way through the bumps, heading down towards the finish. Owens takes it. Now that's a bit of a surprise, Manuel.
That is a big upset. Again, a wild bunch car against a top door slammer, but still Bob Owens got a good light. Chris Tynan had a lot of work to chase him. He needed to make up half a second, couldn't do it. They pretty much stayed where they were from the start.
7.2 for Tynan, 770s for Bobby Owens. This is Bardsley again in the Sedgitons car. Now that's got to be a bit of a worry. Lots of smoke coming out of the right bank. Well, this is a bit of a worry all up because the Datacom Impala is really having some problems. Trevor Tynan has been working on the car between rounds, trying to get to grips with it. They're having over-fueling problems. Great to see the car out here. It looks a picture, but, well, they've run their best run so far, a 770. What can they do here? It'll have to be their best performance if they want to beat Mark Bardsley.
Mark Bardsley very consistent mid-sevens, but you can see the fuel coming out of the left-hand bank of Trevor Tynan's Impala. He is not going to have a happy run. I think he shut it down already.
Here it is on the replay. You'll see what Manuel was talking about. It's all over for Trevor Tynan and Pigzilla, but Mark Bardsley, well, he just keeps on keeping on. And so does this guy. This is Craig Brown. He is the defending points champion in the New Zealand Drag Racing Association National Points Series from last season. He didn't go to round one in Ruapuna, but he's got a chance here, as we told you earlier, to maybe get a whole heap of points here and get his title chase back on track. This guy, though, well, he's been Mr. Consistency today, Manuel.
You wouldn't be overconfident, would you, with Bobby Owens in the lane next year, because we've already seen him dispatch of Chris Tynan.
And look at this, the 55 is going to have to work hard, but he does run down Bobby Owens, so Craig Brown will keep on going. Here it is on the replay.
Two wild bunch cars, so they came down on the same light, so Craig Brown had to drive around him. You can see him behind by about a car length from the start. That was the advantage that Bob Owens had off the tree. But the horsepower kicking in for Craig Brown, and he is a car length in front at the finish line.
So the win in the previous round gets Mark Bardsley into the final, and we will see him match up against Craig Brown. Now this is the same matchup, Manuel, we saw in the Nationals last year.
We saw this plenty of times last year, didn't we? They met in the final at Christchurch last year, they met in the final at the Nationals last year, and also at the Auckland round. So there are a couple of local races, a bit of a local derby, as you say. Mark Bardsley from Pukekohe, Craig Brown from Waiuku. Good friends off the track.
And this is a real important part of the race, isn't it? The pre-staging and the little bit of psyching going on before they work into and bump themselves in. Away they go now. Oh, and it's side by side. I think Craig Brown might just have the decider. No, Bardsley. Bardsley's got it. Or has he? Oh, how would you call that? Have a look at it on the replay. Was it Craig Brown or was it Mark Bardsley? You be the judge.
It was two wild bunch cars, and that looks like a coat of paint on the front of the 55 Chevy's got it. That was a very close race. And in fact, we look to this power of the silicon chip, margin of victory 0.0011 of a second.
So it is Craig Brown that takes the final with a 7.613, 179 miles an hour, as opposed to a 7.603, 181 miles an hour. Faster for Bardsley, but the win, Craig Brown. Back to the AC Delco Northern Nationals here at Champion Dragway, round 2 of the NZDRA Point Series, and this is the modified final. Karen Hay on your screen, and there is Braden Smith from Drury in the Heat Seeker Rail. Manuel, you can't say anything about women drivers at drag racing because there's a whole heap of them, and she's one of the best.
Certainly are. The women keep the men very honest in this sport. Karen Hay doing the chasing. She had the lower dial in time. It's going to be down to the finish line. Karen Hay gets there.
Here it is on the replay, and you see for yourself it was very, very close indeed, but it's the big block roadster that wins the day. She takes it with an 8.394 at 163.79 miles an hour to Braden Smith losing 8.541 at 153.48 miles an hour. Competition final for you now, and it is Ash Beck closest to the camera in the Ford Pop up against Richard McCarthy, and Manuel, a handicap start.
Yes, class index for competition eliminator, 7/10 between the C altered of Ash and the B altered of Richard McCarthy.
And it is Ash Beck taking the win with an 8.944 at 148.89 miles an hour to the faster but losing 8.401, 156.81. Action from Permaseal Supergas now, and it features the man that went on to win the final. That is Kevin Foothead in the T-Bucket up against Dave Tully in the 36 Dodge Coupe. And watch how close the ending is here. The finish is oh so close, but I can tell you that Tully broke out of the 990 fixed index with a better reaction time, and he didn't go any further, but Kevin Foothead went on and won the final. Well, hopefully this guy can repeat Kevin Foothead's deeds. This is Tony Bennis in the car dealer Camaro. Now, he was the leader in class at Ruapuna, but he's got problems here at Meremere, so it doesn't look like he's going to go too much further. And that means that the final will now be between Scott Campbell on your screen in the Fast Parts Mustang, and he's up against Clark Fittis in the Chevy Camaro. So, Manuel, it's the age-old confrontation. It's Ford on Chevy.
Yes, Scott Campbell will be first to point out he is a small block Ford, both cars manually shifted gearboxes, but just 405 cubic inches for Scotty Campbell, but he's not looking so good at the moment.
Well, what about the launch from Fittis? The wheels up launch, and he's just hit the line and won it with consummate ease. He wins it with a 9.56 with a 2, 142.99 miles an hour, and real problems for the Mustang.
Well, if we have a look from that angle as he crosses the centre line and hits the timing beam, instant disqualification.
Sometimes seeing isn't believing, and that means Scott Campbell gets the win with a 10.38 with a 5, beats a 9.56 with a 2.
We'll go 2-1 up.
This is the final of Auckland Motorcycle Superbike, and just the one competitor in it. It is Ken Stoltman from Cockle Bay on his Suzuki Katana, and can you believe it? He's red lighted, so there won't be a time recorded, but he is the winner of the Auckland Motorcycle Superbike final. The final of the Magan Turbo Warehouse Pro Import was all about bragging rights around the kitchen table, because Corey Abbott and Jeremy Abbott, brothers, at it together, a 75 Mazda RX-2 and an RX-3, and it was Corey Abbott that carried the day in the Mazda RX-2, and it was close, but the times tell the story. 11.06 with a 7 as opposed to a 10.68 with a 7, so the slower time gets the win. Into Super Sedan now. This is the final, and it's an all Dodge affair, Manuel.
Yes, it's an all Chrysler as we see the Dodge Dart of Brett McDonald doing the chasing of Dave Levine. Mr. Consistently, but he's not going to get there this time.
So the win goes to Brett McDonald with a 9.81 with a 4 at 123.71 miles an hour to the 10.23 with a 0, 120.57 miles an hour for Dave Levine. This month's New Zealand Petrolhead magazine question for our track facts comes from Craig of Hamilton, and he asks, how important is reaction time? Well, a man that's used that reaction time quite well all day is Chris Tynan. Chris, how important is reaction time?
Reaction time could be the difference between winning a race and losing a race. Of course, the reaction time itself doesn't really have an effect on the ET of the car. It's not actually, it's part of the race, but it's separate from the actual ET that you get from the car. The ET comes from when the tyres of the car actually move past and the beam connects, the clocks will start. When the car gets to the finish line, the beams will break, that will stop the clocks. That's your ET. The reaction time is the time that the driver reacts to the light when it turns green to when that wheel breaks that beam or connects that beam.
And what we've seen today, a couple of near perfect reaction times, and that's resulted in wins. But as you said before, it doesn't really matter about the time.
It doesn't. It depends on what sort of class of racing and things you're doing in it. It's very important that both cars are very close and performance-wise. That reaction time could be the difference between winning and losing.
But it won't, as you said before, it won't affect the ET.
It won't affect the ET.
But a lot of people think it does.
Well, they get that confused is that as soon as the light turns green, the clocks start. Well, they don't. They start when the wheels, that beam connects when the wheels pass.
All right, now the next obvious question is, how do you improve your reaction time?
There's a number of ways of doing it, but of course the best way is to get the driver to actually become consistent. When he becomes consistent, then you can actually improve the car by tuning things to it, like making the suspension shorter. It'll pull the wheels and move forward rather than up. You can tighten up your clutch, you can do whatever you need to do to make the car react quicker, which will give you a quicker reaction time.
So it's all just part of the puzzle, which is this fascinating sport of drag racing.
It is, that's definitely a puzzle.
And you're working on your reaction times every time you go out?
We try and cut a really good light because one day it's going to count.
Fingers crossed it'll count the next time we go drag racing here at Champion Dragway. You're watching the AC Delco Northern Nationals here at Champion Dragway. Well, you've learned all about reaction times. Let's see how they've come into play here. This is the final for Top Street. It's Gary Bogart on your screen in the Brian Roberts towing Falcon up against the Holden Tirana, can you believe it, of Kevin McGregor.
Very, very quick Tirana. This already set a national record today, and he's into the final.
So once again, we've got a Ford on GM competition.
Well, Kevin McGregor wanted to get a good start, and he did, but too good in fact, and a red light gives an instant win to Gary Bogart.
So the Ford carries the day with a 10.21 with a 3 at 129.07 miles an hour. Here it is on the replay, and you look closely, you see the red light come on in lane number 1.
Kevin McGregor knows he's got it wrong. There was a win light at the finish line, so he backs off.
So Gary Bogart continues on his winning way in Top Street here at the AC Delco's Northern Nationals. These are the cars the big crowds love to hear and see as well, and it's a heads-up race between two of the top rear-engine dragsters in New Zealand. Shane Lodge, the son of the legend that is Peter Lodge, and Chris Johnson. 6 is pretty consistently these days, 200 mile an hour passes. Does it ever get old for you?
Never gets too old. No, it certainly wakes you up when you get in there, but you know, the faster the better. As long as it's safe and the car's behaving itself, you're not too worried about it. It's pretty hard when you're sitting in there to distinguish between a 660 and a 650.
One of the standouts of this car is it runs so straight.
Yeah, no, touch wood. Yeah, no, it has. It's an old chassis and everything, but the car runs remarkably straight. Doesn't do anything stupid. It's nice to drive, so you feel at home in there, and everything just gels. It's good.
Yeah, the quickest time we've done so far is a 697, so we're pretty happy with the way it's going, and we're sort of fast realising there's plenty of potential in it to go a hell of a lot quicker, so we're just keeping it tame at the moment, and we'll see what happens.
So the burnouts are complete as Chris Johnson just goes through his last minute staging procedure, and away we go, a heads up run, but there's some problems for Shane Lodge, and Chris Johnson's going to go through. Are we going to see the 200 mile an hour bracket broken again? We are. Unbelievable stuff. Have a look at it on the replay.
Well, Shane Lodge is a second generation of racer, and Chris Johnson is really the number 2 driver behind Harry Taylor. But he does a wonderful job here, and he does break the 200 mile an hour mark, 206 miles an hour.
Well, what a way to start the season, and what a way to start the season for this man. He came down to a meeting at Meremere a couple of weeks ago now and ran very close to the 6-second mark. He's never run a 6 in his life. He's never run a 200 mile an hour run in his life, but maybe today is Grant Rivers' day. It's the Rivers Speed and Spares funny car. So the single pass for Grant Rivers in the funny car.
And this is going to be a very good run. He got to the half track and exceptionally good time. It is a 6 for Grant Rivers.
Well, that's a first. Have a look at it on the replay, and you've got to say, Manuel, he left pretty softly. I don't think he was right on it.
That's driving with your head, because we've seen high horsepower cars lose traction off the start line.
Yeah, wrapped day. We've tried for a lot of years to get a 690 and to run a 6, and to get a 690 flat, we were just happy, yeah, Raptors level. It broke a cam follower on the inlet valve, which punches the exhaust push rod out as well, so it finished the last half on 7 cylinders. Knew it wasn't right because I wouldn't pull any RPM in top gear, so I just short shifted and ran on through. I thought it was about a 740 till the crew come up and tell me it's a 690.
By the time the drivers get through to eliminations in drag racing, it's getting a little bit harder. Not only do you want to win the race, but you want to win in a fast time. If you do that, you get lane choice. Conversely, if you don't win and we're into eliminations, it means you go home. And that's what we've got here in Top Alcohol. Grant Rivers came up from Wanganui to Auckland in his funny car, and already he's run a 200-mile-an-hour pass and 2 sub-7-second runs. But in the final, he'll meet Chris Johnson in the Harcourt's hauler. Already they've done today a 670 and a 660. It should be a fantastic race, and I don't think you'd be putting your money on any of the cars. But what a day it has been for Grant Rivers, and he has run his first 200-mile-an-hour pass, and this is how he did it. And this is the semi-finals from Top Alcohol. It is Rivers in the funny car. It is Shane Lodge, the son of the legend Peter Lodge, in the rear engine rail.
Well, Shane Lodge has run a 6-second this season, so the car is capable of it. They did torch a head last meeting, so they are trying to sort the new cylinder head fuel combination out. So they've got a lot of work to do, but Grant Rivers is certainly on the mission, isn't he?
Rivers gets away first and crosses the stripe first, and history in the making. He runs another 6, but more importantly, he runs over the 200-mile-an-hour mark. Can the day get any better? Well, it probably can, because he will meet Chris Johnson in the final of Top Alcohol.
There's a whole lot more money involved. People spend a lot more money now. There's a lot more technology involved. The cars are full of electronics. I think the last time I drove a car, it had a tack and an oil pressure gauge and a mag switch. That was it. So things are a bit different now than they were then.
Tell us about your new car.
Well, it's an easy way to go racing. Buy the whole package, including the trailer from the States. It was a good deal. The dollar being what it is made it pretty attractive, and we couldn't have assembled the bits and pieces here or even bought them in second hand for that. So to buy the whole package was an easy way to go, really.
Now this is the final, and in lane number 1, the Harcourt's Vernon and Vasey hauler. In lane 2, it is the funny car of Grant Rivers. The burnouts are complete as Chris Johnson backs up the Harcourt's Vernon and Vasey rear engine rail, and alongside of him in lane 2 will be the man of the moment. This is Grant Rivers, who's already run that sub 7-second run. He's gone over 200 miles an hour a couple of times. He's got a tiger by the tail here though, Manuel. The Vernon and Vasey Harcourt's car has been oh so consistent in the 660s. I think it's going to take that to win it. Let's have a look at it. They're through into the final parts of staging. The funny car in lane number 2, the rail in 1. The rail gets away the best. Oh, it has a bit of a problem at half track. Now the funny car starts to close. Oh, and they lose the belt. It looks like he lost the blower belt just before the trap, so that's bad luck for Chris Johnson. I think he'll go through with the win. Have a look at it on the replay. The funny car closes fast though.
As you can see, his butterfly is just closing for Chris Johnson, and there at half 3/4 track, he seizes the blower, and you'll see the blower belt come off, and his mile an hour reflects that he's lost horsepower, and he just gets there by the slimmest of margins.
Well, the win goes to Chris Johnson, a 6.97 with a 1 at 162.90 miles an hour. But Grant Rivers cracks the 200 mark again with a 6.8.43. With 2 rounds to go, this is the situation in the points. In Top Alcohol, it's the Harcourt's hauler. 2 wins from 2 starts puts them in the lead position. In second, it's the funny cars of Brendan Sibe and Grant Rivers. Top door slammer couldn't be closer. Dave Green, Craig Brown, Mark Bardsley and Mark Thomas all battling out for the top spot. Well, what a fitting way to end our coverage of the AC Delco Northern Nationals. A great side-by-side drag race in Top Alcohol. Chris Johnson takes the win, as he did in our coverage from Ruapuna. But a great drive too from Grant Rivers. 200 miles an hour for the second time on the meeting, so he'd be pretty happy with that. Unfortunately, folks, that ends our coverage here from Meremere, but we'll be back with more drag racing from Heartland, New Zealand in Masterton. Hope to see you there.
Now we're off to Horn Rapids, that's a cool name, in Washington State, USA. It's round 2 of the WSJ World Jet Sprinting Champs for Superboats.
Bridges and rivers greet travelers to the American state of Washington. Host state for the second round of World Series Jet Sprinting. The venue was the Horn Rapids course near the Tri-Cities of Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland. Competitors from 3 countries were on hand for round 2 of the unlimited Superfast Superboats. At round 1, the youngster Burt Roberts, in only his second ever drive in a superboat, took out the win, much to the delight of everybody.
Round 2, you won in round 1. What about today?
I'm going to try to take the same perspective as I did last weekend, which is take it easy at first, you know, master the course, figure out where to go, and make sure I take the right lines, and then I'll gradually push it, just like I did last weekend.
Sharing the boat with his son Bert, Mark Roberts made it a family affair, delighting the round 1 crowd by coming home second for an American 1-2 in Superboat.
Mark, second last week, going to be first this week?
We're going to give it a good shot. We've done quite a bit of boat work this week. We're a little faster. We're going to try to be there at the end of the day.
This is a points championship. It's 6 rounds. You did yourself no favours with the points in round 1. Can you come back?
Well, overall, I think with the way our weekend started out in round 1, we were probably quite happy to have finished 6th. And we were very fortunate, I guess, in that Chris Barnes finished in 4th place, so only a couple of points ahead of us.
Round 2. Round 1 wasn't bad for you, but not quite there.
No, we weren't really on the pace at the first one. We probably took it a little bit easy and just missed out on the splits only by a few hundredths of a second, but that's all it takes.
The Kiwi favorites of Kohe and Barnes will be hoping for better things at the demanding Horn Rapids track. Similar to the round 1 course at Richland, Horn Rapids has wide channels with deep water lying in the center of the course. Many shallows and traps lie in wait if drivers are tempted to cut the turns, especially near the finish and the top end of the course. With 2 high-speed straights, Horn Rapids should suit the faster boats and drivers.
People are saying that this track could be designed by Leon Smale.
Far from it. I had nothing to do with it, unfortunately, but I think if there was a track that was going to suit this boat, it would have been last week, but it didn't handle as well as I'd hoped, so we'll have to do what we can with what we've got, I guess.
It's a complex track to navigate. That's going to be the Achilles heel of the day, but I think it will suit the boat if I don't have a brain fade.
Is there something that you can do to solve that navigation problem?
Yeah, I've got a very good navigator with me. We've been through it over and over and over, and we're pretty confident. We've got our focus on the navigation. He's got his focus on the navigation. I've got my focus on the gas pedal.
Jeremy O'Driscoll's focus on the gas pedal in round 1 netted him 3rd place in the points, but with 5 more rounds, consistency and speed will be vital.
What's it going to take to win today?
It's going to take a lot of ground speed, and that's what we've been concentrating on, is trying to get the boats going faster, so we think we're there.
How do you do that?
Going to bigger pitch blades, bigger nozzles, basically get more water through the pump.
Is it a balance of trimming the boat out of the water so that there's less drag, but at the same time making it turn?
Right, yeah, that's what we've been doing, a little bit of wedging too, trying to get that nose up out of the water. The less boats you have in the water, the more ground speed you'll have also.
Ben Badiola is famed for his spectacular style in superboats. Less boat in the water means more speed, but sometimes you can have not quite enough boat in the water. The likable American, round 2 was over.
Have you found all the traps? You happy you know where they are?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. You never know until you start cutting from your 16 to your 8 to your 4. Yeah, I'm happy so far.
Very professional in everything he does. Learning to buy gyrocopters in the coming week down in Auckland.
With its mind-numbing twists and turns, accurate navigation was a key at Horn Rapids, but even the best can get it wrong.
Chris, tough sport.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, just took a wrong slot and that was it. Out of there.
Just didn't work it out in your head before you went off? What was it?
I thought I had it pretty well, and it's just when I came back into around the end there that just a little bit of a blank and got to the bottom here, and yeah.
What does this do to your chances of World Series?
No, I think that's it. We'll probably go in probably no more than 9th or 10th there today. So yeah, that's racing.
Down through the centre, round the left, hooks it across.
With all the pressure on him, first round victor Bert Roberts looked good all morning long, and then it happened.
This is a boil over here. It's gone the wrong way.
What caused the problem?
I just, I kind of had a long break in between runs, and evidently I just didn't run it through my head as much as I should have. I don't know. It's just, if I knew, I wouldn't have done it, I guess.
It's a bit of a heartbreak, isn't it? I mean, you knock on the door all day, easily the top qualifier, easily going through. It's there all before you. One slip.
Yeah, that's all it takes. That's what makes this sport unique. You definitely have to. You can have all the equipment and all of the backing in the world and the skills, but you just gotta remember that track and just go out and do it.
At Horn Rapids, the field of 8 for eliminations is actually going to be the field of 7. We have a no-show because of mechanical failure. So first out with a couple of the contenders out for Superboats, Reg Smith from Taupo, New Zealand's got to be thinking, this may be the day that I can at least get it up into the Final Four. The Hydrolink boat from Taupo. I think we've gone the wrong way. Looks like we may have gone the wrong way. Round 3 of qualifying, he did the very same thing. Looks to be a navigational problem. Could be that he is already going to be out and onto the trailer, but in a gallant effort, he's going to attempt to finish out the pass. Russell.
They can come back. That's the thing. When they make an error, that they do have the opportunity if they can regain the track where they left it. I don't think it's happening for Reg Smith today. That is his big chance. We saw Bert Roberts go out. We saw Chris Barnes go out. And now he has followed suit. There is big problems in the chart room. It's little consolation that he's in very, very good company, but a disappointing way to end the day. Suddenly the door had opened for Reg Smith and Stu Ennis, but it was absolutely slammed on them again. And there's that old adage, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. The pressure goes on, and really there is no second chance. Those turns come up, they are milliseconds apart, and there's absolutely no room for error. So Reg Smith, big disappointment as he brings the Hydrolink Macraft back into the trailer park. He'll be going up on the banks to join the spectators. It's good night, Kiwi.
Next on the track for Superboat round of elimination is going to be Lee Rice, the American racer, with his son Kirk Rice sitting next to him. It used to be Lee Rice and his wife Doris, but in a World Series race in Spokane and Washington from about a year ago, during practice no left, they had to be helicoptered out of the track, and she's decided not to return to racing and just go ahead and have a husband and son combination in the Superboat, putting out about 1,200 horsepower. But a less than spectacular day for the Rice King. I think they have navigated the wrong way. Indeed they have. Will not be making it into the Final Four for Lee and Kirk Rice World Series jet sprinting here at Horn Rapids.
Well, we farewell Reg Smith. Coming up the line is the Shark Attack, Kelly Morris, the 49-year-old from Cordwell. He gets the green for go, and he lights up the 406 Chevrolet. This is a former Group A, International Group A engine, just running with fuel injection, so it's the smallest engine in the field. But this man, he pushes harder than anyone else. He drives up like a Group A boat, which means he's got the pedal to the metal. The throttle foot is right to the floor. He just does the steering, and it is effective.
Kelly Morris and Babs Terry coming up on their split time for their first ever field of 8 for Superboats. And it will show on the split time for the methanol-injected Superboat of 39.43. They've got World Series experience from last year when they ran their super modified boat by rules and regulations of the United States Sprint Boat Association, and getting themselves a runner-up position and doing so at the Spokane track at Playfair. But they decided to step it up this year with a brand new boat, brand new motor, and doing so. I think we've gone the wrong way. We have. The tricky track is taking its toll today. Another one, Kelly Morris and Babs Terry. World Series Jet Sprinting, Horn Rapids in the state of Washington, the Pacific Northwest of America. Here's the guy that gets himself a second place from round number 1 with the Stars and Stripes boat, and very proudly one that he has designed himself. And admittedly so, a little less power than New Zealand and Australia, but driver's finesse, somewhat of a home track for him. He has spent many races out here as season racer of the United States Sprint Boat Association. It is Mark Robertson, Shelby Tonkin.
And Jack, they are honking right now because they're on a high. They were right there last week. They're in the final. They want to be there again. We come up to the sprint at a 38.68. So they're right there, but it's the second half because they've got to keep it very, very smooth. They've been around a long, long time together.
Like we mentioned earlier, a much more demanding track compared to the round 1 Richland track. Horn Rapids is curvy, windy. You got to be careful. The navigator has got to be on top of it. And the 1-2 combination, oh, there's a great shot on board to the finish line we go. And it's going to be a minute and 5.
Basically, if you look at it, there's probably 6 or 7 boats that are knocking on the door now. They're all close together. Maybe somebody's a little faster at one end, a little slower at the other, but you're right in the middle, and it must be a lot of pressure going into this part of the day.
Yeah, it is. You know, I'm a little older than those guys, and so I drive a little bit more cautiously than those guys, but I think that's a good attribute. I can drive as cautiously, but faster.
Do you think that caution's going to count today, or are you really going to have to go for it?
I think caution's going to count. I think caution's going to count. Total focus is what's required out there because it is a complex course. It is a mental nightmare to actually keep abreast of where you are.
The old man on the mountain, as all the people have referred to him as, is Jeremy O'Driscoll. And Van Dam going to be doing the navigating. This man has got the passion for World Series jet sprinting. Jeff Kendrick, small block Chevrolet, True Blue Aussie. And if anybody has got an opportunity to surprise the pack, this would be the man to do it right here. He lives, eats, breathes, and drinks World Series jet sprinting. And because of his passion, this is why it is happening around the world right now. Jet sprinting, Horn Rapids in the state of Washington. It's Jeremy O'Driscoll from Perth, Australia. Russell with the split time.
And this is going to be critical for him. He is 36.94. He is up by 1.7 seconds. Is this looking good? He's got a new navigator, Andrew Van Dam, and this could be the magic combination. Jeremy O'Driscoll having a very, very good day at the office. He's looking very composed, incredibly focused right now. He's getting the instruction is go, go, Jeremy, go. And that's going to reflect in the time as it ticks off. And it's a 62.63.40. He'll be happy.
Here is the man that secretly people have been talking about. Keep your eye on this guy to take it all the way for the American leg of World Series jet sprinting. A very disappointing first round in Richland. Going to have the opportunity to redeem himself here today at Horn Rapids. Pukekohe from New Zealand Super Boat champion. We've had 3 wrong ways already in our field of 8 for eliminations. We got a time by Jeremy O'Driscoll and a time by Mark Roberts, but the other 3 were disastrous. So actually, with a completed pass, this will be the 3rd time for the field of 8.
Well, a lot of pride at stake after the opener in round 1 at 37.40 at the split. He's quick, 1.28 up, so he's looking good, but he's got to give a strong second half. Remember, O'Driscoll has been in the 63s. Now, it's all the psyche battle right now. It becomes very critical. Who will run first, who will run second?
65.55 is right now the bubble time, but we've only got 2 times before or in front of Pukekohe. So the other 2 are safe at this point, and it will show a 64.52 for Pukekohe.
And now the Australian wild child, the youngster, in his early 20s, Leon Smale. The young head on very, very experienced shoulders, and he's got a target of 64.52. He was quickest in the last round, forget that. This is a whole new ball game.
Wild child from Australia, Leon Smale, who was at one time driving the World Series jet sprinting ambassador boat as a young teenage kid. He's come a long way in the Australian Hydrolink Superboat. Keep your eye on the clock. This kid is going to the finals.
This is the kid, the new wizard from Oz, and Leon Smale. All he's got to do is complete the course, and he is in the final four, and that is when it becomes a whole new ball game as the clock ticks away. He's 1.63 seconds up at the split.
He could be on his way to the finals for the Super Bowl. It's at least getting himself into the final four. Leon Smale, right now the bump time is Mark Roberts with a 65.55. With this pass, this will put Leon Smale somewhere in the order. Keep your eyes on the clock as we get to the end of the finish. Jumping all over. Yippee-yi-yay, cowboy to the line. 64.67. Round number 2 of U.S. Open at Horn Rapids. Mark Roberts with a 65.55. In front of him, Leon Smale. Second place, Jeremy O'Driscoll. And Pukekohe on top with a 64.52. We'll be back right after this. Now it comes down to the final four. Mark Roberts, Shelby Tonkin. It's stars and stripes. And the first out for the final four is going to be Mark Roberts and Shelby Tonkin. The course much longer here at Horn Rapids than it was at round 1 at Richland. The difference is this is a mind track. This is a thinking track. This is a thought track. The navigator's really got to be on his or her toes to make sure that the driver gets to the course where it needs to be. Now, a lot of the drivers decide to navigate themselves, but by rules, you have to have the second person in the boat. But this 1-2 combination has been together for quite some time.
They work their way through the course and we come up to the split. That's going to be good. Mark Roberts is first to run this time. He's the man who's going to set the pace. He's 37.21 at the split. So whatever he puts on the board, they're going to chase it. He's going to hope that only one will get ahead of his time when he breaks the finishing beam. He's got a long way to go. It's a long track at Horn Rapids compared to the opening round. And we go on board, Shelby Tonkin pointing the right way. Then we go left. Mark Roberts at the helm. The revs go up, hanging about 6,500 RPM. They're over the minute. We count it down. It's a 63.61. That is the challenge.
Time of the day for Mark Roberts in a 63.61. Leon Smale now knows what he's got to do. The HydroLink sponsorship from Perth, Australia. And he's learned this sport from his dad, Dave Smale, who's decided to retire and just basically hang out and do nothing. Eventually will get back into the sports as a crew chief for his son, Leon Smale.
Well, Leon, he's working his way. He must have his confidence up right now as he works the 1,150 horsepower Kendrick 640 Donovan around the tight, twisting turns of Horn Rapids.
What you're seeing on the track is the wave of the future for World Series jet sprinting. Yeah, you've got a lot of the old veterans that have been doing this for a while, but the young blood that comes in has that no-fear attitude. 28/100ths of a second faster from what they were before on their split time. Russell.
Well, he's done the first half, but now this is when the pressure really goes on. He's got to keep it together because that time will evaporate very, very quickly with one little blip, one little slip.
63.61 is the Mark Roberts pass. That's what they are chasing. To the finish line we go. It will be 64.60, not as fast as Mark Roberts.
Peter, pressure end of the day.
It's a goodie end of the day. That's what you come for. We've had some good racing so far, and the guys are putting a lot of pressure on, and all round. So I mean, it's going to be a real tight top 4 elimination, and great time by Jeremy O'Driscoll in that last top 8 run. We had a reasonable run, and we're just feeling our way into it at this stage, and got to keep circulating as we've said before, and so hopefully we can get that NZ boat into the final.
Pukekohe, Ian Stevens, Parker NZ sponsorship. It's the 1-2 combination that's been together for quite some time. As you can tell with the left hand of Ian Stevens, indeed it is an important part of the navigational system for an overall team sponsorship, and this is a true sponsorship. They've got the boat, they've got the clothing, they've got the backing of the sponsor, they've got the trailer, they got the entire sponsorship package.
This is as professional as it gets. The NZ Matcraft, the Craig Highland 475 cubic inch Chevrolet, and the split he is going for it. Kohe is looking very, very good in this run as he settles it down, coming up the split with a 35.36, 1:54 at the
67 100ths of a second faster on the split time, trying to revenge themselves from not able to make it into the finals, even to the Final Four for the Richland race from round number 1 at Horn Rapids. There you see it, 64.60 is the Leon Smale time. He's got to go faster than that, and if he does, he puts Leon Smale onto the trailer, which will make it at this point a Kohe Roberts final, and it will be 62.90. What a pass!
And he is from...
Jeremy, what you said before was true. That was a hell of a time.
Yeah, the trick is to be do it again. The trick is to be see whether I can do it again. It's a total focus job. You know, I think if we go much faster, we're going to bounce the boat. So I think we're going to just have to try and do what we did that time and run with some caution, like I said to you earlier today.
Caution's going to win the day?
I believe so.
Pukekohe laying down the number. Everybody has got to chase that gauntlet from this point on. World Series jet sprinting, round number 2, Horn Rapids. It is True Blue Aussie from Perth, Australia. It is Jeremy O'Driscoll, and doing so with a Jeff Kendricks small block Chevrolet injected on methanol, putting out approximately 1,200 horsepower. It's an incredible, incredible package. And you'll notice with the down under boats, there's a little more throttle to work with, whereas the American boats mash it to the floor and they drive it through.
Jeremy O'Driscoll looking very, very good at Horn Rapids with his new navigator, Andrew Van Dam. It looks like it could be a winning combination. It's going to be critical at the sprint. Is he going to spoil the American dream at 37.21? And he is absolutely on target. So O'Driscoll could be his biggest day in World Series. Has a bobble, picks it up again. Just use that horsepower to keep him on his merry way. The glorious sight, the glorious sound of Aussie True Blue running and gunning for home. He's got to beat 63.61. It's 63.18. It's a down under final.
63.18 time for Jeremy O'Driscoll from Australia, and the 62.90 for Pukekohe from New Zealand. It's a down under final for the Superboats.
Jeremy, it's the real pressure end of the day.
You got that right. But we skipped a couple of times there. We lost the amount of time by which I think Pukekohe beat us by. I think I know what to do. I've got to keep it smooth, and I know where I skipped. I know where I've got to keep it tighter. So I'm going to give him the best shot.
62 on the cards?
Well, I'm going to try for a 63.18 with a couple of skips. It's 62 is theoretically possible.
Jeremy O'Driscoll and the Van Dam doing the navigating. Of all the practice, of all the qualifying, of all the testing and the tuning and the plotting and the thinking and the planning and everything, it comes down to this. One shot at the track to beat Pukekohe or not to beat him.
Well, it's a whole new ball game, remember. It's 2 on 2. It's mate against mate right now. And Jeremy O'Driscoll is the man who will be setting the target time. 20 seconds gone in his run. Can he produce a little bit more than he did before? So this is the pressure time, the real pressure time coming up the half minute. Long track here at Horn Rapids as we come to the split. This will be the first telltale. It is a 36.68, and he's a little slower than in the final 4. But maybe he's going to have a big second half. The run to the flag.
Superboats, Horn Rapids, round number 2 of the American leg. Jeremy O'Driscoll. This is the time of the day when it comes to hero or zero or champ or chump. You've got one shot only. What he does is what Pukekohe's got to chase, and to the finish line we go. And for Jeremy O'Driscoll, it'll be a 63.10. Now, kids, this is it. The last pass of the day. 63.10 is the mark. He's got to run a 63.09. Jeremy O'Driscoll, will he or will he not become the man of the day? Or is this the guy that people say really should be at the top of the heap right now? But after having the mishaps on the round number 1 in Richland, here at Horn Rapids, he's got the opportunity to redeem himself. Russell.
Well, it's all on now. Is he going to spoil the Aussie party? Because this is one very, very focused crew right now. It is payback time. They were quicker than Jeremy O'Driscoll's time in the last round. But it's this one that matters now at the split. 36.28. They're up by 0.4 of a second, and they're 2/10 quicker than their previous round. He is on target. He is on track.
4/10 of a second faster on the split time, barring any problems between now and the finish on the 63.10 by Jeremy O'Driscoll is going to put Jeremy in the runner-up position. Pukekohe from New Zealand to Horn Rapids in the state of Washington in America for stop number 2 of the World Series will be there it is, 62.90.
Does this put your championship chase back on track?
I think given that Bert Roberts really finished outside of the top 8 and Chris Barnes equally, they obviously were the top 2 contenders at this stage of things, or prior to today. So, yeah, I believe that will put our championship right back on track.
Leon Smale and Bert Roberts tied at the number 4 position. Pukekohe coming back with the Parker NZ at number 3. And first place at the top of the tie, Mark Roberts and Jeremy O'Driscoll. Superboat Racing, Horn Rapids, round number 2. Russell Harris, I'm Big Jack Armstrong with World Series Jet Sprinting.
Now it's 2006 and the Formula 5000s and the Super GTs are at Pukekohe. Oh, how we wish that racetrack was still there.
Welcome back to Sangong Speed Week and our coverage of the final race of the Flexoplast New Zealand Express Formula 5000 series. After racing in 5 rounds all over the country, the championship would be decided by the final race of the series. This meeting had everything: engine blow-ups, borrowed cars, more plot twists than a second-rate soap opera. Enjoy.
So, rolling start for the third and final Formula 5000 Revival Series race of the weekend, and the final race in the series, and it is going to be a nail-biter because there's all sorts of things that have happened behind the scenes, and the biggest one of all is that Ian Clements is out there in Stan Redmond's car. There he is, number 30. Now that is Redmond's McRae. Stan Redmond has decided to sit on the sidelines and not race this. The reason he gives it, he wants a South Islander to win the series because the man sitting right in behind Ian Clements at the moment, Stuart Lush, he has now snuck up in the points on Ian Clements. Clements came into the round at Pukekohe with a healthy points advantage, but then he had all sorts of problems. He didn't have a good race 1 on Saturday, and in race 2 he blew the engine. In fact, he snapped the crankshaft on his Lola T332. So he was in a bit of a predicament. In steps Stan Redmond and says, Ian, drive my car. So that's what we've got here. 15 laps for the Formula Libre Grand Prix, and it is all on this race. Whoever wins this race will win the Formula 5000 Flexoplast New Zealand Express Revival Series. At the moment, it is Ian Clements in Stan Redmond's McRae in the front. It is Stuart Lush in his own McRae GM1 in second place. And I think it'll be Aaron Burson. And there goes Ian Clements. Now, has he tossed away a championship here? Just got it a little bit wrong coming onto the back straight here at Pukekohe, and he's paid the price, and he's going to rejoin in around about 4th spot. Well, it's good news if you're a fan of this man. This is Stuart Lush. The quiet achiever, you'd have to say, in the 5000 series this year, has put some really consistent performances together. This is the 5th and final round. We started at the Whitakers meeting at Manfield last year. Then we came to Pukekohe, and more problems here as another one takes to the grass, and that's car number 11, and that is Aaron Lewis in the Matich from Australia. So Aaron's having a few problems. No problems at all for Stuart Lush. As I was saying, second round was at Pukekohe. Round 3 was the Scope Classic at Ruapuna. Then the field went to Teretonga, and now they are back at Pukekohe Park Raceway here for the 5th and final round. Formula Libre, you're going to see cars other than 5000s out there. Number 1, this is Aaron Burson in the car that his father owns. Aaron had his first win in the 5000 series on the Saturday race here, and he currently sits in 3rd place. There from our aerial shot, you will see Stuart Lush in command of this one, the McRae GM1. And as we told you in the earlier coverage, the man himself is watching the proceedings here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, and that man dubbed Cassius in his day, and that is Graham McRae. Ian Clements fights back, moves through into second place, goes past Burson. Then it is car number 23, and that is the Lola T332 of Tony Richards. Now, when you think that these cars were in their heyday in the 70s, it's amazing that they're still competing and putting on a show for the big crowd here nearly 35, 36 years later. That is the battle at the front of the field, and Clements is getting closer and closer now to Stuart Lush. So this is the drama that is going to end the Formula 5000 Revival Series. There is Clements in a strange car, hasn't done hardly any laps at all in the McRae. Normally used to driving the Lola. This is the car owned by Stan Redman in the Flexiplast colours. It's the car that Stan was driving in the first two races of this round, and he's kindly stepped aside to let Ian Clements do the driving. The man in the front, well, if he can stay there, he should take the series. He has a quick look in the mirrors, and it's filled with Stan Redman's car at the moment. Ian Clements on the wheel, McRae on McRae. Well, this will be gladdening the heart of Graham McRae watching from the pits, and it'll be gladdening the heart of anybody that was here in the 70s and saw these cars doing battle in their heyday. Oh, and I've spoken too soon. That's a major, major problem for Stuart Lush. It looks like the engine's let go, and that means Ian Clements is going to go through into the front of this field. He didn't need to win the race if there was problems for Stuart Lush, and that's exactly what's happened. The yellow flags fly. Lush brings the McRae down onto the grass. Meantime, the race continues. Clements in the front now. This man in second place. Car number 23, Tony Richards. The Lola T332. As we've told you so many times, all these cars powered by small block Chev engines, with the one exception, I think, in the whole field. Around about 600 horsepower mechanical fuel injection, but very much 70s technology in the brakes and in the gearbox and the suspension. But it worked well then, and it works well now. I can tell you that they're lapping in around about the 55, 56 second mark, and that is bullet fast here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Ian Clements, and I'm sure he'll be getting signals from his pit telling him of the disaster that's befallen Stuart Lush. So Ian Clements, all he's got to do is keep it on four wheels, and he will win the Flexiplast New Zealand Express Formula 5000 Revival Series for 2005-2006. Clements heads down the back straight once again, and he's got a big advantage now on Tony Richards in the Lola. Then it's Aaron Burson in the Talon. And then it'll be Australian visitor Aaron Lewis in the Maddich. That'll be the first four of them. There is Richards. So Clements safely in command of this. And there is Aaron Burson. Brand new to any form of motor racing, certainly brand new to Formula 5000s. Registered his first win in the car his father owned yesterday. And he was rapt about that, and he's been a bit of a thorn in the side for some of the regulars because he really is competitive, he really is aggressive. This man, well, he's been competitive, consistent, all the things that mark a champion right throughout the series. Equally what I said about Stuart Lush, you can say about this chap. Ian Clements, one lap to go. And I think if you had asked him on Friday night what his chances of winning the series were, he would have said very good. Well, it all went horribly wrong after that. Jeff Harriman making the pass there on car number 47, Paul Christie, the Lola T190 from our aerial coverage, just coming onto the back straight here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, 2.8 kilometres. And as I said, they're lapping in around about the 55, 56 second mark. And there is the power of the 5000 over the later model Rolt. This man's got all the power under the right foot as he heads up over the top of the John Deere Mountain for the last time. He'll know he's done enough. Down to the stripe he goes. Ian Clements takes out the Formula Libre Grand Prix here at Pukekohe, and in doing so wins the Formula 5000 Revival Series. Second place will be Tony Richards, and in third place it will be Aaron Burson in the Talon. But it's Ian Clements that carries the day. We caught up with him after the racing.
A great win, and I'm just absolutely stoked, to be quite honest. So once again, it's just due to the generosity of Stan Redman to lend me a very competitive car, and at the end of the day, I was able to actually do it justice in that sense. So.
There's only one question: what happened?
it blew in a very expensive way. Yeah. So I put a big leg out of bed, I think. So yeah, very expensive.
And you were doing all you could do. All you could do was win the race.
Well, I could see the oil pressure come down, and so I dropped revs and just didn't make the distance. So yeah, well, that's the way it goes, I guess. It's motor racing, as they say.
You're watching Sangyon Speed Week and our coverage of the Super GT series. A huge range of cars in the field, and the man to beat is Carl Hansen in the Hansen Products TVR Tuscan, probably the fastest car of its type in the world. Super GT action for you now in the Dave Glidden Sailmakers Formula Libre Grand Prix meeting here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, and this is the handicap race for the Super GTs. Now I can tell you that the fast boys are actually starting in the pit lane. The likes of Carl Hansen, the likes of Malcolm Udy and a couple of others starting in pit lane. The reason they're starting in pit lane is because they will give these guys over a lap head start. John Garrity, it is, slips up into second place as they go down the back straight for the first time. Elliot Crawford away in the Big Brock Corvette. There is Max Story in the new 968 Porsche. This is the race leader though, early going for the Porsches at the front of this field. Car number 16 it is, first away, and that is Ben Story, and that's Max's son. Right in behind him is John Garrity. John Garrity, a front runner in the Bridgestone Porsche series. This is Elliot Crawford. We saw him have problems in the previous Super GT race we covered. The big block Corvette, broke a rear driveline. Nice sounding car. Down the back straight they come, and it's Ben Story, the 2.8 RS Porsche in the front. John Garrity in second place for the moment in the 944. Then we go back to another Porsche, and I think that would be Ross Johnson, car number 7. There is Roger Williams getting underway, and there is Carl Hansen. And as Carl Hansen enters the racetrack, Racing Ray Williams goes past him in Paul Forsyth's MG V8. Further battles down through the field, Ronnie Van Zandvoort in the Mag and Turbo Warehouse Nissan, and right in behind him, Peter Weiser. Dodge Viper there of Malcolm Udy. This though at the front of the field, and already Roger Williams has cut his way through them. Garrity back into third place now. This is a very, very quick Mercedes coupe of Roger Williams. It's an ex-Australian sports sedan, ex-John Bowe, and also Brad Jones driving this car in the sports sedan series in Australia. So Roger Williams unlapping himself now, but he's got another lap to go round again if he wants to win this race. Still being led by Ben Story for the moment. There is Racing Ray Williams in one of about 5 different cars he's driven today. He's waved the flag, he's mastered them on the grid, you name it, he's done it. We're on board here with Carl Hansen in the TVR Tuscan. And if your eyes are good enough, you can read that digital readout on the dashboard. It'll be hitting something like 170 miles an hour in the old language at the top of the back straight here at Pukekohe. Elliot Crawford won't quite be going that fast, but he'll be getting a pretty good ride just the same in the big block Corvette. Behind him it was Max Story. Then it is Grant Hohire in the Toyota Levin. So these are the battles within battles. Behind them, Steve Neville, ex-Bridgestone Porsche champion. And behind him, last year's Super GT overall champion, and that is Andy Tyler. This, though, is the battle at the front of the field, Ben Story and John Garrity. So you can see the cars already spread far and wide on this 2.8 kilometre circuit. One of the older Porsches in the field, car number 7, Ross Johnson. Elliot Crawford still leads Max Story and Grant Hohire. Hohire getting a little bit closer to Max Story's brand new Porsche. Another one that does double duty. He runs it in the Bridgestone series and he runs it here in Super GTs. The same can be said for the man in the front, because that is Ben Story, that's Mac's son. John Garrity through in second place. Then it's Ross Johnson. Then it is Racing Ray Williams in Paul Forsyth's car. This is Ronnie Van Zandvoort. And right in behind him, it is the TVR Chimera, the other TVR in the field, and that is Peter Weiser. This is a very, very potent Nissan that Van Zandvoort drives. And this is one of the stalwarts of the Super GTs, and as I mentioned his name, he gets it wrong. Bill Fulford spins it round in the S's. And that allows Roger Williams to go past, and also Carl Hansen. So you can already see the ground that Hansen's made up on Williams as we're back on board here with Hansen. We ride with him here through the Jenny and Home sweeper down into the S's now.
around Castrol. Even in a car with all this power, the secret is to keep the power on and carry that speed down the back straight. That's what Carl Hansen's doing at the moment. Probably the fastest TVR in the world. As I said, he's got his work cut out for him today because he started dead last and he's got to come through this big field and win it in only 6 laps. It's a big ask for anybody. Ben Story at the front for the moment. Garrity still holds second place. He comes up and over the top of the hill now, so Porsche's calling the tune here in the Super GTs, their third and final race of the weekend. And as is their wont, their last race is always a handicap affair. Then it is Racing Ray Williams, and then it would be Ross Johnson. Behind Ross Johnson, it's Elliot Crawford in the Corvette, Max Story, then Grant O'Hire, then Steve Neville, and then Andy Tyler. So no real change there, but you would expect Andy Tyler to start moving up, the car being a little bit quicker than that of Steve Neville. This man's moving up as he goes past Roger Williams. That is Carl Hansen heading down to the hairpin here from our aerial shot. Williams just closing up the gap a little bit as he takes a slightly different line through the hairpin and then out heading towards the John Deere Mountain once again. Well, this man is the class of the Super GTs, there's no doubt about that. He's lapping, as we told you, in the 56-second mark. And to put that into context, in the Formula 5000 series, they were going around there in 55 seconds. And, well, the power to weight ratio a little bit different between a Formula 5000 car and the TVR Tuscan of Grant Hansen. 1 lap to go for Ben Story. He's led it from the flag fall. I think he's going to carry the day. Garrity through in second place. Racing Ray Williams getting a little bit closer. And as we always see in a handicap race, the positions will start to change pretty dramatically on this last lap. Lurking in the background, the big red beast, that's Malcolm Udy in the Dodge Viper, the V10. He's going to come through them before this lap is out. He's lapping in around about the 58-second mark. Some of the cars in front of him, John Garrity, in about the 70-second mark. So his days may be numbered in this final lap in the Super GTs. And look at the traffic jam. O'Hire is there, so too is Van Zandvoort. Then it is Malcolm Udy in the Viper. Then it's Andy Tyler. Then I think we just got to look at Nick Chester in the Evo. Now he's the points leader in the Super GT competitions with 2 rounds to go. This is round 5 of 7. Back straight for the last time into the braking area. Car number 16, Ben Story, the Porsche 2.8 RS in the front. Garrity holding on for dear life in second place. Then it's car number 7, and that's Ross Johnson. Then it's 66. Racing Ray Williams in the Sebring replica, the V8 MG. Then it's Elliot Crawford, and he's holding up Malcolm Udy for the moment. Round the left-hander they come now, up and over the top of the hill. So Garrity's been swallowed up by this fast pack. Over the top they come. Story's going to see the checkered flag first, so he'll get the win. Second place, well, it'll be Racing Ray Williams, and then it'll be the Viper of Malcolm Udy. And the official results tell us that Elliot Crawford would go through in 4th place. In 5th, it'd be Ronnie Van Zandvoort, and in 6th, it was John Garrity. We caught up with Malcolm Udy, 3rd in that last race. You did your best laps around here in that last one.
Yeah, that was, we actually knocked the whole second out. The best we've had up to date is 59-1. We actually got a 58-1, so yeah, we're pretty pleased.
It's been a long time in development, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've spent pretty close to 300k on it this year, so it's, yeah, there's a lot of work on it. The car, you know, we've built several, 2 or 3 engines, so it's just starting to get to its maximum power.
Overall, happy with your weekend?
Yeah, no, really happy. The car's gone well, and the guys have got it all together for me and kept it going. It's been great. No, good weekend.
And I guess the big thing, it's all together, put it back on the trailer now and it's ready for whatever comes next.
Yeah, we've got a bit of preventative maintenance there. We'll pull the engine down and check it and whatnot, and then put it in a box and send it to Europe, yeah.
To finish off the show this week, it's back on the water. It's round 2 of the 2008 Formula Honda Powerboat Series from Gulf Harbour.
Last year at Gulf Harbour, the conditions were not smiling on any of the crews, from the superboats right down to Formula Honda. The sea doesn't discriminate, and everyone took a pounding. But what a difference a year makes. Thousands upon thousands turned up to the reserve to bask in the sunshine, while the crews took to the moderate seas. Boats R Us are the agents for setting up the Formula Honda race package. We talked to Murray Tonkin.
When you buy a Formula Honda package, you start from scratch. It's a standard package. It comes out of the box from the factory new. We strip the motor and we do some modifications just to make it a little better for racing. Like we put a 225 bracket assembly in the motor, and we put a Nolithane top engine mount in. Other than that, there's nothing you can do to them.
Well, a man that will be driving his Formula Honda by the seat of his pants is ex-jet sprinter Grant Garrity from Havelock North.
This is my third year, so started the third year. Come from jet sprinting, great sport, and I see it's on tomorrow, so might stop and have a look at that. But no, it's 2 years, been a hard 2 years, and no, it's been good up until now. So we were hoping to have a better start to the season, but Taupo didn't prove that for us, so we'll be out here to make amends, I hope. Just so evenly matched. Getting a couple of metres at the beginning is into the first mark, sorts everybody out at the first mark, so starting's really, really important. It's not too bad out there at the moment, but it'll probably get a little bit lumpy out at the last mark, so it's just about driving to the conditions. You know, you hear that on the road, but you see it on here as well.
Well, the sea gently lapping on the shore really made a bit of a nonsense of what was happening further out in the sea, because it was quite rough, and all the teams in Formula Honda prepared for what would be a pretty hard ATM Albany thunder on the coast. So we are moments away from a split start for the Formula Hondas. You're on board here with Colin and Zane Dunn in CRD Automotive, just working around the milling area, waiting for the flare and then waiting for the 5-minute call. They'll get into a line either side of the start boat. It's a rolling start, of course, and all these identical Formula Hondas. Colin and Zane looking for a good performance here in CRD Automotive. Jared, the starter, ready to drop the yellow flag and hoist the green one, and we're racing here in the 60-mile race. It's round 2 of the Cougar Marine Inex Metals New Zealand offshore powerboats, and it's a pretty good lineup, and away they go. The green flag flies, and with these boats being so evenly matched, it is all about getting a good start, and it looks like a fantastic start for Grant and Cynthia Garrity in Mike Perro Mortgages. Such a difference from round 1 in Taupo. You're back on board here with CRD Automotive, Colin and Zane Dunn, father and son combination. And you can see just what a pounding these guys take. You can also see from that shot that in Formula Honda you don't wear seatbelts, and the reason for that is the boat's an open cockpit, and if it does turn turtle you can get out of it pretty smartly. Oh, and a big moment there for CRD Automotive, nearly broaching. And you had the best seat in the house as we watched these 60-mile boats working their way down inshore now. There is Cougar Marine. Now, they won the first round at Taupo, and they're sitting back in about 4th place by the look of it. These guys are in the front, though. This is Michael Knight and Shannon Thickpenny in Building Solutions. This is the ex-Tony Coleman Formula Honda boat. And all these boats, of course, identically powered, 150 horsepower, 2.4 litre double overhead cam, VTEC Hondas. So this is what's happening further back in the pack. There is CRD Automotive. That is the Duns. Also in there, the Gambler Kevin Smith, and back to the Bay 6, and that's Glenn and Chris Powell as we go back on board here with H5. And this is CRD Automotive, and they're starting to struggle a little wee bit because all that white water in front of them is the wakes from the boats in front of them. There is a good look at the engine. It's got a 5-year racing guarantee, 150 horsepower, 2.4 litre. It is a double overhead cam Honda engine, and it is reliable as an axe. And as I said, you can use it for racing, you can take it out skiing, you can go fishing with it, you can do what you want, but there's a 5-year guarantee. Okay, so our helicopter just struggling to keep up a little bit as we zoom in on the front runners here. And watch how tight these boats can turn. They really do a good job. And here is Miss Electripar. This is Mark and Bryce Helms now. Bryce taking over the duties of Michael Knight. Michael Knight moving up to the big time, if you like, in Building Solutions, now driving his own boat. He was navigating for his father Mark last season. And there is Honda Marine. Now this is another one of the Thompsons. This is Carl Thompson and Robbie Glenn. And they're currently sitting in about 7th place. More problems here for one of the 60-milers, and that's Tin Soldier that's come to grief. and come to grief in a big way because they've lost the engine. So that's not only sad but expensive as well for the crew of Tin Soldier. This is Mark and Bryce Helms, Miss Electropar. You know, I mentioned before that they say officially the sea is a moderate state. Maybe moderate for the big boats, but for the littler boats, these 19-foot Sonic hulls in the Formula Hondas, it's just the waves are just coming a little bit too far apart and they can't quite jump over them. They end up in the troughs. If we stay on this shot long enough, you'll get a graphic example of it. Miss Electropar, Mark Helms and Bryce Helms. Mark, all the experience in the world in powerboating. This is Simon Freeman, back in 7th or 8th place at the moment. This is Auckland District Collections. Now, this is the old Kerry Gleeson boat. Kerry, of course, making the move up to Superboat Light with Doosan. So these guys are a new combination this year. It's an unusual name. It's H16 in the Formula Hondas. Now, we've been telling you that all these boats are identical. Well, they're identical to even the nth degree because they do a propeller draw between each race, and it is the luck of the draw as to who get what propeller. They say they're all the same, but if you talk to Grant Garrity, he's probably got other ideas. Kevin Smith, one of the youngest competitors out here, and yes, he is one of the Smith family in the Gambler. This boat first saw duty with Kelly Smith, and there is Dad Grant in Addictive, probably keeping one eye on his youngest charge as he goes past him in his Superboat Light boat. This is back to base 6. This is the Powells, another father and son combination. And this boat was run under the Hydralink colours last year, and at one stage it had Wayne Velder at the helm. Grant and Cynthia Garrity doing a fantastic job, so much better than what they did in Taupo. They really did struggle, and Grant thought he would have gone a lot better than he did, but loving the conditions here at Gulf Harbour. This is Albany ITM. Thunder on the Coast in association with marineworks.co.nz and Doosan Construction. They're all the people that have helped put this together, and there are thousands upon thousands lining the shoreline watching this race, and you can see from that shot just how close they do get to the spectators. This is a battle for 4th and 5th place. Miss Electropar, Mark and Bryce Helms are in it. And so too is the boat that won the Formula Honda title 2 years ago. This is Light Industries. This is Mike and Darren Urquhart, and they're pretty much on home water here. CRD Automotive, well, they've had problems. We've seen them nearly broach, and they're down towards the back of the pack now. I think they're having a bit of a battle at the moment with Altitude's Tony Dodd. And you can see just how hard it can be when the boat's not quite trimmed out. Plenty of air under CRD Automotive. This is Grant and Cynthia Garrity in Mike Perro Mortgage's Ericsson Honda, getting a bit of help from Mark Ericsson. Now, Mark was one of the original drivers in Formula Honda a couple of seasons ago now. This is a great result. They're second at the moment. Out in front, it is still Building Solutions. There is Cougar Marine. Now, this is Mikey Smith and Matt Hopkins. They won the first round. They got a fantastic start at Taupo, and they were never headed. At the moment, they're back in around about the mid-pack, so they've got a bit of work to do. 5th place, Light Industries, Mike and Darren Urquhart. Mike, of course, part of the winning combination with Chris Bartlett 2 seasons ago now. Last year, Chris Bartlett was the champion. He's here watching at Gulf Harbour from one of the floating gin palaces that are doubling as marker boats. Helms and Helms as our helicopter zooms in. And there is the Gambler, and that is the youngest of the Smiths on board. That's Kevin, and just passing them is Tony Dodd in Altitude. Now, that's Jeff Weeks' boat from last year. As we go back to 1st place. Well, they were stoked with 2nd at Taupo in round number 1 of the Cougar Marine NX Medals Offshore Powerboat Series, but they're going to be even more happy with this because it's been a dominant performance for Michael Knight and Shannon Thickpenny. Michael Knight, well, he's a bit of a veteran of Formula Hondas, but it's all brand new to Shannon Thickpenny, and they are doing a fantastic job. Mike Perro Mortgage is in 2nd place. In 3rd place, it is Cougar Marine, and that is Mikey Smith. So down past the control boats they go. There is Cougar Marine. And this is a championship winning boat from last year. That's Chris Bartlett's old boat, now being run by Wellington's Mikey Smith. Building Solutions out on their own. That's where they want it to be. And we're hearing that there's been an incident on the course and the race has to be stopped. So that means there's been a serious incident on the course. It's not going to bother these guys too much because they're in the front when the red flag comes out. That means they will win, and that's the reason why, and that is placemakers. And this is causing some concern because that was the Marine paramedic Chris Deacon in the helicopter. Building Solutions, they won't know what's going on further up the course. They're just happy to win round 2 of Formula Honda. So it is Michael Knight and Shannon Thickpenny that get the win from Grant and Cynthia Garrity. So a great performance from the couple from Havelock North. Third place is Mikey Smith and Matt Hopkins, and in fourth it's Mark and Bryce Helms.
We hope you liked the show. We sure like making it. See you next week for more Retro Motorsport.
You'd have to say as we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, and there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come.